Gru is back in town after spending the last several years in prison. But before he can cause any more mayhem, he has to find a way to earn some money. With his criminal empire crumbling and his finances completely drained by his time in prison, Gru turns to one job, becoming a librarian. Now, being a former supervillain, this doesn't exactly go as planned. After realizing that none of the minions speak English, Gru sends them off for training while he takes care of things himself. However, it quickly becomes apparent that he's a horrible fit for the position, and when he tries to steal an ancient book that no one can read, he accidentally sets off a magical spell that sucks him into the pages of the book. Now stuck in a medieval fantasy world, Gru must learn the true meaning of courage and heroism before he can return home. Back at the library, Agnes, Margot, and Edith are trying to enjoy a fun day in the children's section, but the newly trained minions have just returned from class, and they have a lot of energy. The first minion walks confidently towards a bookshelf and attempts to grab a book with his mind, but it doesn't work, so he just grabs it like a normal person instead. Another minion tries to use the card catalog computer, but instead ends up spilling juice all over it and destroying the power supply. An elderly woman approaches the minions and asks if they could help her find something. One of the minions screams at her and points his finger like a gun, then runs away laughing. She thinks about this for a moment, then realizes she's being attacked by a minion and throws a book at his head. He picks the book out of the air with a confused expression and puts it back on the shelf. Then she walks away slowly, regaining her composure. The rest of the minions see this happen, and they start screaming like a herd of wild beasts stampeding through the tall grass. Everyone in the library starts paying attention now, and the minions are getting nervous. They start throwing books around wildly until suddenly the door behind them opens and Gru walks in. To say that Gru is not happy is a horrible understatement. All of these minions were supposed to be trained, not causing destruction and terrorizing Padrons. What was the point of sending them to school at all? Maybe they're better suited to another job where they don't have to deal with people. Gru begins to think about what job would be appropriate for a bunch of undereducated minions who can barely speak or understand English. Suddenly, it hits him. There's a million different positions open in the mailroom of any organization, especially a big city library. He's pretty sure most places will hire a minion. They may not be smart, but they're strong and they're pretty fast too. As long as there aren't any complicated instructions involved, they should be able to handle it. And they also won't get bored easily, so this should work out perfectly. The next morning, the minions arrive at the library mailroom and immediately start rummaging through the packages. There are hundreds of boxes waiting to be delivered to various departments around the building, but there is also a giant pile of junk mail that has piled up because no one wants to sort through it. The minions love junk mail. It's like a never-ending supply of wrapping paper for them to rip apart. But it's also extremely important to the minions that they do a good job. You know, the kind of thing that is easy to say when you're standing there making $0 an hour, but really hard when you're responsible for ensuring the financial stability of your entire family. Each box that they damage or fail to deliver on time will make it more difficult for Gru to pay rent. It'll make it harder for them to buy food. It could even put them back on the streets. That's why each minion works with laser focus until every box is sorted and labeled. They tie up the remaining loose boxes and take them out of the mailroom to be delivered. Everything is going great until one of the minions sees a small package sitting all alone on a table. The other minions try to tell him that they have to finish delivering all the packages before taking a break, but he refuses to listen. He grabs the mysterious box and rips it open. Inside is a stack of papers with wax seals attached to each page. This is a very important document and it's being sent to the history department. Sure, the minion could deliver it himself, but where's the fun in that? Instead, he picks a random book off a nearby shelf and pretends that the document is its spine. Then he leans back and enjoys watching as the poor author gets crushed to death. His friends are furious with him. What he did was not only dangerous, but highly inappropriate. The other minions have been taught that they're supposed to treat books with respect. It's a shame that he didn't learn that. But their little disagreement is interrupted by the sound of footsteps coming down the hallway. The minions panic and try to hide the evidence of their crimes. Unfortunately, the documents are too large to fit inside the book, so one of the minions holds it out of the way. Just then, a man wearing glasses and holding a flashlight walks into the room. He looks around for a second, then notices the minion holding the document out of the corner of his eye. "What are you doing?" he asks. "Boop beep," says the minion innocently. "Uh-huh," says the man suspiciously. "Just make sure that's not an important document you're hiding behind that book. If it is, I'm gonna need you to come with me." The minion shakes his head and lets the man walk past. Then he quickly hides the document in the book when he's gone. The man turns out to be the head librarian and he's looking for a lost document. The minions had no idea that it was missing, they were just messing around. But when he hears a noise coming from inside the book, he decides to investigate. He opens it up and finds the document right away. "Ah, perfect," he says, unaware that the minion is frantically waving his arms inside the book like he's drowning. "Thank you so much for finding this. You're a lifesaver." Then he closes the book and walks away without another word. The minions sigh in relief. That was close. They should probably be a little more careful next time. Unfortunately for the minions, next time comes way sooner than they expected. The next day, Gru comes into the mailroom to check up on his workers. He's pleasantly surprised when he sees everything is neat and orderly. For once, the minions actually did a good job. But that's when a loud crash comes from the front of the store. Gru rushes over to investigate and finds the children's section in complete shambles. Books are strewn across the floor, toys are destroyed, and the minions are nowhere to be seen. Suddenly, he remembers that today is the annual Kids' Day celebration. The library doubles the staff to ensure that everyone stays safe and enjoys the party. And the minions thought they could sneak in some extra playtime. Gru sighs. He's going to fire them all, but first he has to clean up their mess. As soon as Gru leaves the kids section, the minions come back. They look around to make sure Gru didn't see them, then start planning how they're going to make this up to him. They know they messed up, but they also know that Gru isn't exactly the most honest person in the world. Maybe if they turn the tables, they could get him fired and then take over the library themselves. They wouldn't even have to work that hard. All they'd have to do is sit in chairs and watch as everyone else did all the work for them. It's genius. Gru arrives at the main desk to clock in for his shift. The head librarian sees his beaten-up clothes and offers him a position at the front desk instead. Gru accepts, but he has no idea that the minions have a different plan in mind. They sneak into the office to steal the head librarian's key so they can let themselves in whenever they want. But they don't realize that it's locked. They try to bust down the door, but it's no use, they're stuck outside. Just then, the head librarian walks by and sees what they're doing. "Hey, what's going on here?" he asks. The minions scream and run away. Then he hears a commotion coming from inside the office and he opens the door to investigate. On the floor is a chair that's clearly been moved recently, but other than that, everything seems fine. The head librarian shrugs it off and goes back to work. But he has no idea that this was just the beginning. Later that night, Gru is enjoying some time to himself when he hears loud banging coming from inside the office. Thinking it's an intruder, he grabs a book and creeps closer to the door. It's the minions, and they've managed to pry the door open just enough to slip inside. They're moving furniture around and setting up a comfortable living space. Gru is furious. He breaks through the door and chases the minions around the room. But they're too quick for him. He trips on a chair and falls to the ground. The minions cheer at their victory, but they quickly become sheepish when Gru glares at them. "You guys have got to be kidding me," he says. "You think you can just set up shop in my office? You're fired." The minions look down at their feet in shame. "Be-do, they say sadly. Gru feels bad. They might be clueless, but everyone deserves a second shot. Alright, I guess you can stay on the job. But next time you hear me say set it up, you're gonna do just that. Got it?" The minions perk up and look at each other excitedly. Their plan is working perfectly. So what do you think? Was the library job a good choice for the minions? Will Gru ever escape the book? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Catch you later.